Loud and clear.
Okay, all right. Well, I just had the around 20 minutes, right? And I try to give you a brief our experience on the regulatory reform during the financial crisis. Well, if you look at this slide, well, around 1997 and 1998, there was a big change in Korea. As you all know, we had the financial crisis from 1997 and 1998. Until 1997, regulatory reform in Korea is like a part of the overall administrative reform. And we are mostly focusing on the procedural reform, like administrative procedures and formalities. So it's like, no, it's not a major reform. But after the crisis, the first thing Korea did during that time is regulatory reform. We all know the government regulation is the most significant policy that affects the nation's economy. So the first thing we did, we enacted, actually we call it the Framework Act on Administrative Regulations. That was enacted in 1997 and actually started implementing in 1998. During this period in Korea, we had the massive public sector reform. And that was the part of the societal reform, including financial sectors, corporate sectors, and the public sector, and also labor sector. So regulatory reform is the part of that reform in the public sector, and we have many other reforms was implemented during that crisis time. And beginning 1998, the regulatory reform is separate from the administrative reform. It has its own area. So we start conducting the systematic regulatory reform. And not just procedural, also we conducted reform on the substance of the regulation. That's the big paradigm change in 1997 and 1998 financial crisis. So Korea before 1998 and after 1998 is totally different country. I guess from my own observation, Korea became much more competitive, much more stronger than before. After we went through all these financial, corporate, and public and labor reform during the time. Next slide, please. Okay, let's take a look at the just briefly on what's the aim that the Framework Act on Administrative Regulation. Well, it shows a basic at the beginning of that act, we have the properties and principles. Basically, it deals with regulations. Regulation you can categorize basically two categories. One is the flow of regulation is the new or strengthening regulation, and the other one is the type of the regulation, which is the existing regulation. So we introduced the committee for regulatory reform committee for the RRC, and this RRC deals with the new regulation and also the existing regulation. And it has also we have to go through all the government ministries and agencies. You have to plan a comprehensive regulatory plan at the beginning of fiscal year. And after the fiscal year, all those ministries and agencies, they must go through the evaluation whether they implemented the plan properly. Next slide. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, if you look at, it's a fine thing. Look at the overall structure, where that the Regulatory Reform Committee position. Then I will say the committee is right under the president. So if you look at on the president on the right side, that's the Regulatory Reform Committee. We have two subcommittees. One is Economic Subcommittee, and the other one is Administrative and Social Subcommittee. Economic Subcommittee deal with regulations from those economic ministries and agencies. Also, Administrative and the Social Subcommittee, they are dealing with regulations from those ministries and agencies. Also, we have a technical committee and regulatory report, which deals with the regulatory analysis, basically the benefit and cost analysis done by the requirement. If you look at below that, the right below that section, there was the office for regulatory reform office within Prime Minister's office. This office is kind of the secretariat of the reform committee. Within this office, there's the three bureaus. The regulatory reform policy, that bureau is the bureau actually indicates the overall policy instruction and the plan. And the second one is the regulatory innovation and planning bureau. You deal with the innovation, how to change, how to improve the government regulation. And the third one is the regulatory review bureau. So if you're making a new regulation, or if you're making a existing, you are strengthening existing regulation, you have to go through a regulatory review process, and this bureau deal with those matters. And under this regulatory reform office, all those central administrative ministries and agencies, and there's one agency, Ministry of Interior, they also take care of that regulations from the local government. So this is the overall structure. In Korea, regulatory reform, it is highly centralized, and basically from top down. So all the major decisions are made in the reform committee, and those decisions are implemented by the reform office from central ministries and all the way down to the local government. Next slide, please. Okay, let's take a look at take a look at the what is the purpose of this committee. The composition of this committee is very clear. There's 22 members. Prime Minister is chairman. Also, we have a co-chairman from the Vice Chair. I think the community is the public and private partnership. And also, it's a similar organization like that in Korea. We have 6 government members. Those ministries with future regulation, many regulators. And we have more civilian members, 14 civilian members. So the decision made by this committee is administered by, not by government, but by the civilian members. The reason we compose this committee like this is, if you put the government regulations in the hands of public officials, it is very difficult to change policy regulations, because there's a lot of the, there's a lot of, and the regulation sometimes is what they do in the government, and sometimes, a lot could be covered from those regulations. They don't want to change it, and certainly they don't want to get rid of it. So if you put the government regulations in the hands of public officials, it's very difficult to reform it. So we compose the private the civilian members, they are coming from businesses and civic organizations and private experts, professors, so many different sectors. And as you see, we have subcommittees, and those committees also composed of mostly the majority of those committees are from the private sector. Next slide. Okay, what the issue basically, it determines all basic sections and all the important regulatory policies in Korea. So, if you want to make any new regulation, or if you want to strengthen any existing regulation, or if you try to improving the existing regulations, you have to go through the regulatory review process by this. So basically, as I said, this committee takes care of the existing regulation and also the new regulation. Also, this committee takes care of how to register the regulations and how to publicizing those regulations. Also, with gathering and consulting with the many different types and they are the regulators. Okay, this is the process of the making a new regulation. To look at it, the ministries and agencies, they draw up the draft, the regulation, and you have to, first thing you have to do is conduct a via, then consult with the public. After that, you have to consult with other ministries, and you have to go through the regulatory review process by regulatory committee. Then it goes to the legal review by Ministry of Legalize. Next slide. And this is the process of improving the existing regulation. Well, I mentioned that the comprehensive regulatory reform plan, and all the ministries, when they make a plan, they have to review their own regulation. And they come up with something. And it should be reviewed by regulatory regulatory review bureau. One of those three bureaus within that the Office of Regulatory Reform. Then it is submitted to the subcommittee of RRC and finally the committee review. So, whether you make it this regulation or if you want to change this regulation, you have to go through the rigorous review process of the regulation. Next slide. Okay, now just want to summarize. These are the major achievements at that time, 1997 and 1998. It has more than 10 years of their relative reform history. These are the basically what they achieved during that fiscal crisis. The first one is on the area of deregulation. They identified all the existing regulations in law. The laws by the laws is the Act, and also the pages of order, and also the ministerial rulemaking. And we went through all those laws, and we found around, by our definition, 12,000 regulations. And then we cut in half of all regulations. And it is well known as the Guillotine Approach. So almost half of that regulation was, outmoded, no longer valid, it's not rational, and all those regulations within a year or so. And those the surviving regulation, we had registration system. So all those 6,000 regulations, we have each one of them has regulation card. we have a card, put numbers, and then the name of the regulation, where the regulation, the legal base, and which ministries are taking place, when they are made, and when they are changed. All the information is in that card. We are managing those registration systems for a long time. And another one is, in the Framework Act of the Administrative Regulation, one of those closely concerns that all the regulations, by principle, they have to have some kind of concept, either in 3 years or 5 years. So after 3 or 5 years, we evaluate the validity of the regulation. That is one of the requirements of that law. And also on that, including the utility policy, so in Korea, advisory by the Act, the RIA is mandatory for all and administrating utility. So every new regulation, we have to go to RIA. And I mentioned the annual comprehensive regulatory reform plan. So at the beginning of fiscal year, we have planned. The end of the fiscal year, we act and you evaluate whether you implement that the plan correctly. I've been studying for the member of that evaluation committee for many years, and it was a lot of work just for evaluating the implementation of the plan, because we have more than 40 ministries and agencies. And all those economic sectors and social sectors and administrative sectors, we have the committees and many people, many experts are involved, and we are examining whether they've done their work. It is basically the framework of the Korean regulatory reform. And the basic framework hasn't been changed much. So we did this more than 10 years, and I guess that is one of the great achievements in the regulatory reform. Well, I think my time is almost up, so I guess probably I'll take more time on this.
Thank you very much, Professor Shin Kim, for your paper. I would like to open the floor to our members, our participants today. Any comments, anything that you would like to ask Dr. Shin Kim? Anybody would like to start?
Dr. Andy, just curious, what is, Dr. Kim, what is the challenges that you have to overcome by doing this? Any resistance problems that you face?
Resistance from the ministries and public officers, you mean, probably, in almost all countries, the regulatory reform actually allowed the president in Korea. And that is a big problem. In Korea, unless you secure the top leadership, it's difficult to conduct regulatory reform. We all know that. And if you look at the publications from OECD, the first thing they recommend is secure custody. In Korea, at that time in 1998, then newly elected president Kim Il-sung, once all the regulations identified by the ministries and agencies, it put a big force on big actors. So all the ministries and agencies, and how many regulations he has, and he checks regularly whether they remove or improve those regulations. So without those presidential leadership, probably they cannot be done. Get rid of the head of regulation is there's a lot of resistance, but because of the situation, crisis situation, and because of that the top leadership was strong will, we can successfully is that getting rid of necessary.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Dr. Sri Wong. I think there are a lot of, you started very early in the 1997 and 1998 era, way ahead of, and there are also very major achievements that we Bermuda also have learned, like cut in half of all regulation, the Guillotine Approach. When Bermuda started, it's also the same that we have learned that whatever regulation out there, we should actually cut by half, you know. I also see that you also have sunsetting regulation. Some of the regulation are sunset, no longer necessary for this type of error. And also the regulatory impact assessment. So what I realize is that the whole team reports, it's just like our Bermuda structure, except that we have the Bermuda structure that we had the first time was also reporting to the Prime Minister, and then co-chair with the private sector, which is the Chief Secretary of Government and Captain of industry. Same structure, except we have more government servant. We don't have ministers, but we have the Chief Secretary, the Secretary General of some of the related industries and ministries, and also the Director General. So that composition of structure is quite similar. But I think what you have is that you also have, like Malaysia, we have the federal, state, and local council, right? Almost like three government I see from the structure.
Some countries with the federal system, probably the power is divided by federal, state, and local. So it will be more cumbersome to conduct any reform. But in Korea, we have unitary government. We have central government and actually we don't call it local government. We call it local autonomous entity. It basically is not a government, and those local entities, the role of those local entities basically is implementing the policy by the central government. So we have a very simple structure and more efficient, but maybe probably less democratic, very in terms of efficiency. Everything goes like that. Very centralized, efficient oriented organization, whether it is the public or private.
Thank you. Anybody has anything for Dr. Shin Kim related to our issues here? So what would, anybody has anything? Dr. Latif, you have something I saw you click on? No? So just like any, the recommendation for World Bank to Malaysia is also the same. It has to be that whoever is in charge of the ministry, the leadership is very important to ensure that whatever policy is carried out all the way through the ministries and right until the staff in the in the ministry. So the cascading of the information and instructions are also very important. But here your reform area also look into online processing system. I see that the Korean government is very strong in terms of trade facilitation, for example. You have very strong online processing of custom documentations and trade documentations, right? Is it something that you can
Well, for example, conducting here, we have a web-based system. So any government officials conducting a RIA, they have to get into that the system. And this system guides you, what to do. And when you conduct the cost-benefit analysis, for example, when you are calculating cost, the program shows the different categories, whether the regulations you're dealing with has any application to that specific category. So if you go through the online system, then you can come up with the statement. In Korea, the Regulatory Reform Committee, they do not accept the paper statement. When you conduct it, you have to go through that system, and you can submit it from that online web-based analysis. It is the mandatory. And we've been doing that for many years, maybe almost 5-6 years. So anybody who conducts a RIA, and they have to access the system, just go through that procedure in that system, and you're done.
I'm sure that whatever system you propose these days, regulation, processing of government administrative procedures, filing of documents, all that will be on online and paperless. I understand, right? That you do not need to have submission online, and then offline you have to submit paperwork and all that. Is it still existing in Korea now?
Well, I guess we have. So we are basically paperless office is the aim of the Korean electronic government, and basically everything, the planning, implementing, and reporting, all those work. You can, that's the government system. We've been developing for many years, as you know. We've been by the UN survey, we are the electronic government ranking has been number one in the world for many years. And we invested large money. Actually, we invested tons and tons of money, huge money, and we also developed the human resources to carry out those systems. Also, we have an ethics, training, education for public officials. It's been for a long time. Now, everybody's getting comfortable with working with the computer. So, nowadays, because of this COVID-19 crisis, people don't have to come to office. You can work your home. So, we have no problem with the working. Actually, in KIPA also, many people working at home. And if you want to stay home, you can stay. And we try to, actually, the operation is encouraging people. If you feel a little sick, please don't come. You can, if you can work at home, and just stay home. That is our policy. And we have all the systems, in place. So, you can, we have no problem working.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? If not, then I would like to thank Dr. Shin Kim. Anybody else has? Dr. Shin Kim, thank you so much. This is the direction that we actually need to improve in Malaysia, working under this new normal due to this COVID pandemic period. And this is where the Pemuda program is, to convince the government to accelerate its program on digitalization in the frontline office of the government, besides the back end. The front line is very important, as today we are not allowed to gather and queue on the counters anymore. It doesn't make sense. So everything can be done online with the devices that we have, the advanced smartphone or laptop that we have. Yeah, if nothing else, maybe Dato' Latif, would you like to thank Dr. Shin Kim personally yourself, and thank you for inviting him and for sharing.